I used to dislike my voice. This was not in a small way. I genuinely did not like hearing myself speak. But guess what? I never imagined that this voice that I used to dislike would be a part of my work, a major part of my work. But something changed. Narrative changed in 2020 when I had this quiet conviction to start my podcast. Was I ready? Was I confident? Well, thank you very much for that question. I didn't feel ready, I didn't feel confident. But the game plan was to learn, practice, record, and just pretty much figure things out along the way. And by 2023, I was already hosting podcasts for organizations, and people started asking me to teach them how to start their own podcasts. Guys, me, that person used to dislike her voice. That was when I knew something had shifted. And in that process, I noticed a gap between the person I thought I would be and who I was eventually becoming. Because when we are younger, we create this version of our lives that just makes a lot of sense. You know, we know the subject to pick, we know the degree to go for, and we just tell people what our plans are. And they just nod in agreement because it sounds responsible. It sounds like you're decisive and you know what you're doing. It sounds like you have everything under control. And that's one thing people would want to hear. The fact that you have things under control and you have a big plan. For me, I studied economics, right? And I had this grand plan in my head that just sounded perfect, sounded like I had everything in control. And when people ask me questions like, oh, what do you want to do with your life? I'll just tell them, oh, I'm studying economics and I have this plan in my head. I have that plan in my head, this and that. And people will say, okay, yeah, it makes sense. That's really nice. Have you considered this? Have you considered that? Overall, you're doing a great job. So maybe you studied something and halfway through, you just realize, nah, this is not me. Or you've been chasing that job for a long time and your first day at work, you look around and you're saying things like, is this it? Is this what I've been chasing all my life? Or maybe your life just looks completely different from what you imagined it would be at 13. But this is not because you're a failure or something alike. It just means that life is showing you other options that you never knew existed. But let me be honest, I'm not going to sit down here and pretend as if, okay, when you identify the gap, it's not going to feel uncomfortable. It's definitely going to feel uncomfortable. It will feel confusing. It would even feel painful sometimes because you'll feel like a failure because your plans fell through. Now I'm on TV, building something with my voice, telling stories with my voice. So my friend, if you ever find yourself in this stage of life, I need you to remember two things. You're not a failure. Life is just showing you other options you never knew existed. And secondly, you need to remember that you just probably outgrew the plans that the younger version of you curated for yourself. That younger version of you that had limited exposure, limited information, limited knowledge. So give yourself some grace today, my friend. Will you? So my friend, this channel is a space to simply be human. You know, have honest and real conversations about life, choices, and becoming as young adults. And of course, my friend, you'll be seeing my face quite often. With love and colors, Eunice Olaleye, but you can call me Uni. Thank you for joining me on today's episode today. I will see you in another video. Bye for now.